I think whatever President you have to take it is erratic. It's not like he's not thinking. It's very calculated approach. He wants to make solid domination in the world, and that's the message he sent. Expansion of territory is part of it, whether it is a resource extraction and also control of resources, that's part of his agenda as well. So what you saw recently in Venezuela, this is in the making for quite some time, even from President Trump's term one. But regardless of whatever happens in any country, the communism, whether the human rights, even if the claims are correct, that doesn't give any country the right to invade, right to go in, capture and abduct and kidnap their leader. There is international norms, there are rules and regulations, there are people or in organizations, an international organization wants to follow the international norms as well. Unfortunately, at this point of time, I think we are heading towards either a scenario where the world is going to get divided based on their alliances, whether it's China, Russia, or America. And I think that's how it is probably going to happen, because his action in Venezuela also triggered a massive conversation around if China is going to take over Taiwan or Russia is going to capture many parts of Ukraine. Now, if you can understand this kind of rhetorics that President Trump is communicating constantly, it's quite dangerous for the world that the smaller countries are actually speaking out today, whether it is Denmark or Iceland or Norway or Sweden or Finland, they are speaking out. But in the European region, the bigger countries like France or so, they're relatively quiet. But if you can imagine Greenland, a country, still a sovereign country, even though their GDP is $3 to $4 billion. It's quite small and probably worth of one small company as well. But that doesn't give right to America or, matter of fact, any country to go in there and determine and say that, hey, I need this piece of land because of my national security. Does national security not matter for other nations, other countries? And this conversation is quite important at this point of time, because I do see that now democracy is a farce. America has been doing regime changes, installing puppets in different region countries, depending on their necessities. Whether sometimes it is communism, sometimes it is the resources, sometimes it is human rights. Even in fact, India is in the radar for quite some time. USCIRF, the United States Council on International Religious Freedom, has been trying to label India as a country of particular concern for quite some time now. So can you imagine the narrative they are promoting at this point of time is India, especially the Hindus, the Hindu extremists, if you will, are killing Christians and Muslims in India. And that's the rhetoric that is coming from literally everywhere. I mean, recently, he targeted Nigeria on that basis. I hope that he actually doesn't target India, but based on the recent months, it's extremely clear that there are some things cooking against India, whether it's President Trump's administration or his members speaking very overtly against India, whether it's Maharaja Tariff or India is a dead country, even the quote by President Trump himself. I think this is dangerous because you are actually targeting sovereignty, and every nation in this world has the right to determine what works for them. What Greenland has to do or they must do is none of my business, and I shouldn't be interfering. Unfortunately, I think that line has been eroded, and we are witnessing, and it's not just Greenland, but also Iran. You see, Iran's defense budget is $24 billion, whereas if you compare with America, it is 1 trillion. in this particular case, we can say that Iran absolutely does not have the capacity, and resources as much as the United States. Can you imagine when the defense budget is increased to 1.5 trillion for America, which is what President Trump is asking? But today, at this point of time, even if we have three branches of government in this country, unfortunately, the legislative branch is almost dead. Nobody's speaking, nobody's standing up to President Trump either. And 2026 election is going to perhaps have an opportunity to put a stop in this situation. But until then, I'm surprisingly seeing President Trump literally issuing orders as if it is the global police head, and then it can do anything. It can go and invade any country and capture anybody he likes, and also install anybody he likes. And I think if we look at from an Indian standpoint, I think the India-US trade deal is also in the flux right now. The latest remark I have heard from your external minister Jaishankar is that they have promised to stay in touch, and this is beyond my understanding as well. Is there going to be a trade deal this year? I think we'll have to wait and watch. But I think this is concerning for all the countries. The tariff war that President Trump has unleashed on every country is going to cause a massive chaotic situation in the world if it continues this way. But any country that has been that is in a position that you put a 500% tariff, or you can't do or secondary tariff, like if from in the case of India as well, if you do business with Iran, you are going to get another additional 25%. That kind of leverage and ability the America has, and it is bipartisan in a way. If you remember, just a small statistics from 1945 to year 2000, just 45, 55 years, United States executed about 80 regime changes. And both the Republican and the Democrat parties were involved, and the Republican Party, let's say 50 to 55%, and Democrats 45 to 55%. But at the end of the day, the tactics are different. Neither one of them is overt, one of them is covert, but that doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, America wants to impose and communicate American hegemony in the world, and whether it is overtly or covertly doesn't matter. But today, I do hear at times that even if the Democratic Party is in minority, they are trying to take some stance. Just a couple of days ago, there was a war resolution signed by the Senate, and five Republican senators signed with the Democrat on Venezuelan war power. But that is only for Venezuela. What about Greenland invasion? What about Iran imposition on Iran, and its statements where you can say that, okay, go ahead and capture the institutions, keep protesting, help is on the way. This is a direct interference in our country today. Just a couple of days ago, there was a US citizen shot in her face, literally from a point blank range by ICE officer. And entire narrative within the incident, within a short time frame of incident, the entire Trump cabinet started blaming that the woman was a domestic terrorist. So today we are in a position that anybody who doesn't align with President Trump's policies or doesn't toe the line is going to be labeled as a domestic terrorist. So are we in a position to lose our democracy here? Do we have our freedom of speech? Does Constitution of United States give us the right to exercise our freedom of choice, our freedom of religion, our freedom of the speech and expression? Unfortunately, in this country, there is a narrative right now that if you are not a white, you cannot be American. If you are not a Christian, you are not American enough. This kind of rhetorics are dangerous as well. So now, if when we talk about Iran, this is definitely what is happening in Iran. I don't condone it. I'm not supporting it. But that doesn't mean, no matter how much the complaints are legit, doesn't mean that the United States or any country, for that matter, has the right to go in and intervene. So for me, I think at this point of time, we should be focusing internally, because we have a lot of issues within our country as well. Healthcare premiums are going up. Our energy costs, our daily lives, our livelihoods are at stake at this point of time. But unfortunately, that is not the focus from President Trump, and expansion of territories has become the primary role of president. And whether it's a Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, Colombia, Greenland, Panama, Canada, really doesn't matter. It could be India tomorrow. So I think this is truly concerning, that you can literally invoke any reason and start invading other countries.